They're going to have predators sitting in a lab creating some of these things. They're going to have predators and councils and female predators and child predators. Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the Predator franchise becoming more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm talking the Predator movie coming in 2019 or 2020. What is the future, or what could be the future of the franchise, and what it looks like most likely is as far as something that happened at the end of filming. They filmed the Predator 2018. They needed more money, and I have a sneaking suspicion the powers to be said, all right, we're going to give you that money, but it's going to cost you. You got to put something in the movie that's going to secure a future for this franchise. Let's discuss that. A scene happened in The Predator that hit me like a ton of bricks that made me look at the franchise totally different. During the movie, the Predator does something where he's trying to escape this compound. And I just want to touch on this. Probably one of my favorite parts. I love when the Predator, the scenes are just shit your pants scary. And they had an opportunity, I think, to make this really shit your pants scary. But instead of going all the way with that, it was still suspenseful. There was a lot of tension. Olivia Munn had to escape, but it was on lockdown, and she had to take off her uniform and go through some kind of a quarantine thing. I think they call it something else, but she had to quarantine coming out of the lab, and then that way she doesn't take any like predator alien germs with her out into the world, you know. So she's got to go through that process, and the predator is killing people in the next room, and it's heading out, and she just kneels down or sits down or something. They had the camera at her shoulders up, so, and the predator looks dead at her, and that whole moment where he's killing people and then he comes over, I was just loving it every single second, because you know, in a way you're kind of like, oh, I don't know, this is a little unpredictable because it's not like a regular predator hunting. He's up to something else. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking two things. One, you're thinking, I know she's in the rest of the movie, so she's going to get out of it. She's not in any real danger. And number two, you're thinking they don't kill women, unarmed people, sick people, kids. They don't do that because there's no sport in it. But there was still a lot of tension in the scene. Imagine him being there. So I love that. But then the predator escapes. I'm not going to mention how he was running and Olivia Munn was running, and they kept up the same speed. I thought predators were supposed to be a lot faster than us. Anyhow, so he gets out of the compound. Other shit happens, but there's a moment where he kills these guys in the back of a truck, security detail, and they're leaving the compound, and he's using that truck to get out of the compound before they lock it down. The predator's in the back of this truck after he kills everyone, and the guy driving, the security guy, is like, hey, you guys okay back there? What's going on? And the predator picks up a severed arm, and it has the thumbs up, and he sticks it through the window, and the guy just looks and he's like, oh, okay. And it's played for laughs. You know, it is a predator, and it does something else. It shows that they know more about us and our culture and everything like that because he knows what it meant and yada yada yada. And then they have this little moment. It's like it's difficult to remember because it goes by so quick. It may be a 5-second moment where after he does the thumbs up, the predator is now no longer running. He's in the back of the truck. He's safe. He doesn't have to fight. And he kind of sits down. And now keep in mind, there's no facial expressions. He's wearing a mask. You're just going by the body language. And it seems like the predator sits down and does this like, oh, okay, now what? You know what I mean? Because he wasn't expecting to get caught. He stole something. He's on the run, and his pod was split in two. He went with some kind of pod that ejected, and the thing that he was bringing to us also has a translator, which I know when I watch reviews, I don't think a lot of people picked up on this, but yeah, the predator is killing people, but that's because he doesn't have this translator, and whatever he brought that we find out later is so important. He doesn't have time to piss around. He doesn't give a shit. Keep in mind, this is a predator who, unknown to us still, was trying to give us a gift and help mankind for some reason, and he doesn't have time to piss around because the big predator is coming and he's going to find that ship, and that's the one thing this predator cannot let happen. This movie has a lot of flaws, but that's one thing that I don't think that's a flaw in the script at all. Maybe if people didn't realize it that way, and then they could go, oh, okay, I get it now. Because keep in mind, just because he's given us a weapon and a gift, he's balancing out the priority is getting to it before the assassin comes here. So if he has to kill a few people in this research lab, he doesn't give a shit. That's not his mission. His mission is to get there ASAP, and these people have him locked down. People start shooting guns at him, so he doesn't give a damn. He kills them. I had no problem with that, but I see a lot of people have problems with shit like that. I don't care. But anyhow, that one moment where he was just like, and he sits down. You know how when you think of something, a million thoughts will race by in just a flash, and then you're back in the movie or you're back in what you're doing? So much information flooded into my brain. It just made me look at the Predator franchise just in that one weird, different moment, and everything kind of clicked because I always saw the Predator as this beautiful contradiction. You have this Native American savage kind of tribal primitive design with the loincloth over his privates. Are you sneezing in my video? Bless you. So he's got this primitive look, and he's got the skull trophies hanging on his body and stuff, little animal skulls. He's got a spear. He's got these throwing weapons. At the same time, he's got a futuristic friggin' spacecraft that can do shit that we can't even dream of in our technologically advanced society. He, compared to us, is so insanely primitive. Yet there's that beautiful contradiction. He's got technology that surpasses ours by a lot. So he's got the laser cannon, the sensors, all this stuff that fights back automatically. And we find out more of that in this, where the mask and everything else, a lot of his equipment is automated to where if it's attacked, it'll register and shoot. There's the mines that they set up where if the aliens come through it cuts them up. The netting that slices people up, all this crazy shit, the disc that comes back to them, the everything they got, right? It's a combination of primitive and the futuristic technology, which is, in my opinion, I've always called it, it's one of the things I love the most about The Jungle Hunter from the 1987. It is a beautiful contradiction, and it's with one of the, in my opinion, the greatest movie monster, the greatest creature feature, which is the design of this beautiful motherfucker right here, the Predator. Love the design, all-time favorite. But again, that beautiful contradiction. Now, keep in mind, with that, they're gonna have shit like translators. And this is something that, after I watched the 1987 when I was a kid, even growing up, even like a year ago, I didn't want to admit, and I didn't want to go down that road because it gets it takes away some of the magic with the Predator. But keep in mind, in order to have these ships, these weapons, these, tribes and the civilization, they're gonna have predators sitting in a lab creating some of these things. They're gonna have predators and councils and female predators and child predators. Not that type. Okay, but they're gonna have baby okay, that all sounds weird, but you get what I'm saying. There's gonna have all this shit that is just gonna seem weird in a movie. And this is where the huge conflict I feel comes with this movie and the franchise and the fans and how they love this movie. For the future of the Predator franchise, you need to go beyond. Unfortunately, you gotta go beyond the 1987 Hunter hunting the ultimate prey. You have to. How many movies can you do? And I know we can go to the Predator homeworld, but don't say, oh, but Ronnie, you can go there. No, because you're going to have to show us that shit that is going to get into the corny land. They're going to have all this stuff that people are going to be like, well, that's iffy. They're going to show all that. You're essentially going behind a curtain, and you're going to reveal a lot of the mystery behind the Predators, and some of it is going to seem a little odd. Imagine seeing a jungle hunter predator teaching his predator son to throw a spear or some shit. Like, you have little children, Yautja. That sounds a lot better. Training and you have schools, Yautja schools. You got all this, Yautja community going on. They're not all just born and they're fully grown and hunters and shit like that. So that's one thing that hit me with a ton of bricks. I am a massive Predator fans. I one day want an amazing, great, old-fashioned Predator story movie that is like the 1987 movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe they can show Predators when they came and it's during pirate times or something like that. Or it could be anything. We can have a few. This franchise has a ton of potential because you don't need to connect the next movie doesn't have to be part 2 of the Predators. The next movie, if they wanted to, can be something that takes place back in like the pirate times or back in the cowboy times. I know those oftentimes get to be really silly, but you don't have to restrict yourself to that because of the Predators and their technology and the sci-fi world that's been built up here. As long as you don't have them come down and they get noticed by every freaking person in the world, you know what I'm saying? As long as it's isolated and it's that one thing and it doesn't mess up with the continuity between the storylines and stuff like that. So the future of the Predator franchise has to be different. It has to go beyond just that. Because how many times can you do, oh no, there's something out there in the woods? You can't. As fans, I know we want to recreate that, but we can't. They can't recreate that. We know it's the Predator. We know what he looks like with his mask on. We know what he looks like with his mask off. We know he has the cloaking technology. We know what that looks like. We know about his weaponry, and even if you change up his weaponry, it's going to get old after 2 or 3 movies. I mean, the whole thing's going to get old if you don't add some type of new storyline with that. You know what I'm saying? And here is where I think they were on the right path, but they kind of goofed it up at the end of this with the weapon, the gift that the future Predator is bringing us. Obviously, it would help to kind of understand the future Predator and what's going on there and why he was fleeing, and because obviously he was working with the big Predator at one point in time because he called him a traitor. You don't call someone a traitor if they're your enemy. It's not like an enemy stole something. And I have an idea. If someone put a gun to my head right now and they said, Ronnie, you got to write the sequel, how would you explain what The Fugitive did? I think I got a banger of an idea, and we'll go over that in a second. But as far as the Predator storyline moving forward, it has to go deeper into the lore. And you can do the Predator homeworld, you can do what they're doing where we have humans versus Predators, and it seems like in this movie, eventually the storyline means that Predators are going to come to Earth and there's going to be some type of invasion. It might be one tribe, it might be a few tribes, but it's going to be some pretty heavy shit. They were going in the direction of the future of the franchise, how to keep it alive for future movies, and this is their flag in the sand saying, whether you love it or not, we want to keep it alive, and we think this will keep it alive. And it is kind of like taking notes from the MCU. That is right. I think it is heavily implied by the ending. They are going for a Predator cinematic universe with the suit. Now, I just want to throw this in here. I strongly feel like the suit should have been a backpack that just came over the hand thing and taken over the whole body. In my opinion, it seems, oh my God, I feel like they needed more time to polish that because it doesn't even match the technology the Predators have. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even use that technology. Not that I've seen, not that I'm aware of. Even the Predators that were there, I don't remember them using technology that was similar to that. So they gotta explain that in coming stories. But I do feel like this was them saying, we believe the future of the franchise is more similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What we saw at the end of Predator 2018 is the beginning, in their eyes, of the Predator Cinematic Universe. They already got a comic universe. They already got comics with the Predator. They already got comics with multiple Predators. They already got comics with Aliens versus Predators, the AVP and stuff like that. If they continue with this, they'll have a Predator Cinematic Universe where we'll have heroes utilizing Predator technology against Predators, multiple Predators, sometimes maybe armies of Predators if this gets big enough. And that is a slippery slope. And when the Blu-ray comes out, we're obviously going to be discussing a lot more. But I strongly believe, watching this, that's the direction they want to go. And it feels like they tacked it on at the last minute. First off, the suit, if there is a sequel to Predator 2018, I'll tell you right now, they are not using that same suit. That same suit is silly as hell, especially the big, ugly, bulking guns coming out of it. It looks like a rejected Batman toy. You know when you would get Batman toys if your parents didn't go to the store quick enough back in the day, and all the black, the regular Batmans were sold out, and they had all these really stupid scuba dive Batman or this camouflage Batman and all the weird like orange and yellow and all this funky, shitty Batmans. This suit reminded me of a terrible toy idea like that, especially with the big guns. Some of it looked kind of cool, to be honest. Some of it did look kind of cool, but I feel like if they would have polished it up a bit, what do you need those big-ass guns for? First off, it's really unbelievable. It's really a stretch of the imagination to see Iron Man do it, and it is pretty cool, but that's in a superhero universe. This universe, the Predators don't even use technology like that. Having it do the Iron Man shit and then these big-ass guns, I feel like it shouldn't have been an arm gauntlet. It should have been a backpack, and the backpack should have been the layout of a body. Imagine if it went on your back and the arms as if it was like something you can lay down on, and then it took over the front of you and did all that. Sure, that's a little bit, I could see that, but this is this little tiny crossbow looking thing. I don't know, man, especially with the big ass guns. It was so silly, the design, and ridiculous. And again, I feel like if you would have tweaked it, it would have been an easier pill to swallow, in my opinion. And I feel like if they do a sequel, they're going to change that design 110%. It just felt tacked on and odd, and I really want to know the behind the scenes about why they did this ending. And now keep in mind, I have a feeling this might be the studio making a deal, because remember, Shane Black recorded it in daytime and they needed more money from the studio to record it in nighttime, and the studio gave them the go ahead. I think at this time, the studio said, yes, we'll give you the go-ahead for millions of more dollars. I forget what it was. I don't even know if they announced it, but let's say they gave him $10 million more to finish it or reshoot it at nighttime, or maybe even $20 million bucks. Here, he asked for more money, and the studio said sure. And I think at this point, when the studio said sure, here's X amount of more, like $20 million more to refilm it at nighttime. It could have been more than that. But if you're going to do that, we need an ending that will secure a sequel. Even if some fans are going to buck against it, we need it that's going to do something similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because this Predator, they own the property. They know the Predator shit sells. Fans will still buy stuff that have those Predator and Predator designs on them. That shit sells. They know if they can lock down a storyline that will keep this going and have more Predators, bigger budget, bigger action, bigger story, more ambitious, they know if they do it right, it could be a big deal. Think about if this worked and this was the most amazing thing, if every friggin' Predator fan went to this movie and this was just like groundbreaking, holy shit, this franchise just went into a new direction where you're actually excited for this being the Predator version of the Infinity War or some shit like that, or the Civil War. And I know that sounds ridiculous because of this movie was nowhere near as good as those movies, but keep in mind, the movie has all the hallmarks of them wanting to go in that direction, but a rated R version. What I'm worried about, though, is I think Disney's going to take ownership of it soon. Aren't they in the middle of a deal where they're taking ownership of it? If Disney does that and they keep it rated R, that's fine. And I think Disney could, if they put the right people in charge, and I have no faith in them whatsoever, but if they do and they keep it a rated R franchise and you tell the right story, oh my God, you can do some amazing shit. Just think about it. Like I said, if someone put a gun to my head and said, hey, Ronnie, you need to come up with the sequel, right? Disney comes and the little mouse puts a gun to my head and he said, come up with a sequel and explain why the hunters have little animal skulls on them. Just do it right now. I'd be like, okay, there's dangerous planets that are so dangerous. There's some predators that don't even go on those planets just because the creatures and the world and the environment and the atmosphere itself is so dangerous. Only the badass predators go there. And when they go there, they'll kill the most iconic or most well-known animals, even if it's a little thing, not because it's like, oh, I'm a big bad predator and I killed this little animal, but it's proof that they were on that planet, because no other animals, that animal doesn't live in any other planet. So when you see, for example, when you see the predator and you see this little, instead of it being like a fox skull from like our world, it'll be a certain select creature. So this will show that he's been to like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 of the most dangerous planets. So in their tribe, they would look at him and they would be like, oh shit, this is a badass dude. Set something up like that, you know, just for some of the trophies, to explain that inconsistency with the continuity that we already have with all the other movies. So sure, you can do the spine and they're taking the genetics that's already been established in this movie, but those little animal trophies, instead of pulling genetics, and you could still do that. You can say, even though it was a little animal, they had some crazy shit that they wanted to get genetics for. Sure, genetics and dangerous planets where that's the proof they went. Like, only the badass of the badass predators have it. But then you would say, okay, well, you need to explain, and this is the big thing, you need to explain why the predators even made technology that went on humans called the Predator Killer. Explain that right now. And I would say, I can't. No, I would say, okay, how dope is this shit? All right? Maybe this isn't dope, but this is the first idea that pops to my head just before I was about to record this, and I got so excited. I was like, if they did something like this, that would be pretty damn cool. But peep this. So the predators took over another humanoid race, and they have almost gone extinct, but they enslave some, let's say a good chunk of them. And it was in a secret lab between predator allies of this humanoid race that's almost becoming extinct. Let's say some of them, soldiers who fought side by side, predators and the humanoid race, they've grown to respect them to a degree. And this humanoid race is the ones that were building their technology, doing the laser cannon. So instead of going into a lab and seeing predators doing zzz, you know, the predators could do some stuff, but it was the humanoid race that they conquered, and they're the ones in the labs creating all the stuff with the predators, and they keep them on like high guard because they are really smart, really creative, and they were able, because of some traitor, some fugitive predators. He wasn't the only fugitive, it was a few more. They were able to create this suit, this design for the humanoids. Well, it went bad, and the humanoids who created it in that section on the predator planet, they were killed, all wiped out, even the predators that were allies. Now keep in mind, these are predators who are traitors to their own kind, pretending they're still good with them, at the same time they're helping this humanoid race. So they build this thing called the Predator Killer, but the predators find out about it. They kill the humanoids. The other fugitive has no choice. He takes what they created after they slaughter his friends and his new humanoid friends. Well, they've not new, but you get what I'm saying. He takes the weapon and he runs, and that's when he comes to Earth, because he knows Earth is the next place to get taken over and enslaved and destroyed for whatever. You can make up other reasons. I would want more time to polish other reasons to be like, well, why does he care about Earth if he hunts us, you know? And it could be something as simple as it's not right within their tribe. This is a newer way of thinking. Their tribe doesn't. It's not up to them to wipe out certain specimens on the planet. It's up to them to just hunt and become more efficient fighters and hunters and shit. I mean, there's a lot you need to take in, but just off a little idea like that, I love it so much. And again, they could do anything they want and it could still be a good idea. But I do feel like that is the only way the Predator franchise can stay alive. And I know there's some fans out there, and it blows my mind, but they're like, nah, you know what? I love the Predator franchise. I love the Predator movie. I'm sorry, but I don't want another Predator movie. I'm good with just that one. I'm sorry, but I disagree. I think the Predator is such a beautiful creation. The monster, the creativity, creativity behind it. It's almost one of the best. In my opinion, it is the best movie monster ever created. Why keep him confined to just the 1987? Even though I love that movie so much, why not try to do something more and better with the creature and the lore? And in order to do that, we are going to, as fans, we're going to have to accept some things that get a little bit silly, that get a little bit odd and off. Like, for example, the Predator sticking his hand out, doing a thumbs up. He knows of it. He knows what that symbol means. Why wouldn't he utilize that? They're smart. They're cunning. They're clever. They were copying people. Even if you look back in the older movies, there's stuff that when I first heard it, I was iffy. Even back then, like in Predator 2, when the big Predator take it. I always had a problem with that when I first heard it. I was like, I don't know if the Predators should talk. But then when you think about it, yeah, of course they're going to be able to say a couple words. Of course they're going to create a translator that can do that shit. They got a spaceship that can do what it's doing. You know what I'm saying? It shot a weapon that created a wormhole that brought them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course they're going to do a lot of this. The Predator's gonna he's gonna think like, oh, I've enjoyed watching you idiots kill each other, but I gotta handle my business now. He's gonna be doing some shit like that because what do you expect him to do? He's not gonna be a robot, and I know it's weird and off and iffy, but some of that shit, it fits whether you like it or not. Now, there's problems with the story, and if you want my thoughts and opinions about what I liked and what I didn't like, check out the review. Other than that, I really wanted to make this a really polished, articulated discussion into what they could do with the future of the franchise, but I feel like we're not going to have enough, or I don't feel confident enough in putting that out unless I hear more from the filmmakers and why. And usually after a movie comes out and right around the DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that, they do more and more interviews and they explain more and more, and then on the Blu-ray it's going to have commentary and you're going to learn even more. So I do want to do a highly polished video explaining some of my thoughts and opinions that I shared here, but I also was so excited I wanted to just get a discussion out there to you guys. So I love this topic. It was very fun to discuss, and there's still so much more I want to talk about, but it's already long enough. So if you guys want to have this discussion, definitely hit that subscribe button or stay tuned and give me your thoughts and opinions down below, because I definitely should be revisiting this and pulling some fan feedback out of it. I know a lot of times I do talk about maybe covering something when the Blu-ray comes out. When it comes to the Predator, this is one that I'm gonna do. There's no way I'm not gonna do it. This is a priority. It's not because it's gonna get a lot of views. It probably won't. It's because it's a franchise I am just absolutely interested in. Again, it's my all-time favorite movie monster. I don't care how bad that movie is. I want to discuss this between fans because enough is enough. We need to be doing something to bring this franchise to glory days. There's so much potential. It's insane that we've had 6 movies and our favorite movie is still from 1987. That's insane. That's a crime, So I want to get together. Maybe we can be so loud that anyone in charge whenever they're ready to do the next movie, they can maybe hear some of our thoughts and opinions about what to do and what not to do. Anyway, thank you guys very much for hearing me out, and leave your thoughts, theories, and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.